Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Deputy, a great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're continuing the storyline from last episode where it turns out, obviously, all the police CIs are being targeted. Now, obviously, it's a rush, because at first, Bill's rushing off, and I'm like, where's he going? I was like, oh, it must be a CI of his. I was like, have we ever met any CI? I was like, I completely forgot. I was like, right, the mayor. Curtis himself is his. See, I was like, right. I was like, that is so interesting. You would expect that would have. I mean, I guess it was still kind of like a big thing, but you would expect it to be an even a bigger thing. Curtis being kidnapped, but regardless. And the fact of the matter is, because obviously, like Charlie seeing Levon, and it's like for her, it's like he was literally bouncing town, and now this happens. It's like she should have, in her mind, it's like I should have realized something sooner. Especially because it's like Levon wasn't just kind of someone that she was connected to; it was someone that was connected to Luna. And it's like I think seeing Levon like that probably just reminded her of Luna, and maybe that's why Bishop was like, you don't need to see it all that, It's like so. Now it becomes a race against time to stop, find Curtis, because now it's a situation of like. Because Bishop brings up a good question I didn't even think about last episode. How are they finding out who these informants are? Because it turns out Luna, there was actually no paperwork when it came to Levon, I think, is what they ended up talking about. So later on, so it's like, how did they find out about Levon and stuff like that? Was it just they were watching? Obviously, comes up the big suggestion, like, it's got to be someone in the department. But I think Bill didn't want to go there yet, because if you start suspecting people, they lose trust in you. And it's like, you don't want to lose trust in the department yet. So, and it's also interesting because all while this is going down, Jerry and Carol are like conspiring and stuff like that. She's like, yeah, because he was like, she's like, yeah, you can give me that file on Bill. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to do that right now. And I'm like, I guess because of what the circumstances were. He never expressly said that, but I was like, really? While that's going down right now, you're conniving right now? It's kind of a shitty time to do that. But I think maybe that's why Jerry had made that decision. Because it's like, oh, you came to me about this right now. And it's like, I have no intention of sharing that file with you right now. Just because it's like, I think because it's like, you're not recognizing the drastic nature of what's all that's going down here. Maybe she just wasn't informed at that time, whatever the case may be. But for her, it's like, oh, this Johnson case is going to sink Bill, so I don't need your help. Blah, 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 blah. Kind of was like, deuces. And Jerry just kind of looking like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that Johnson case, it's going to work out in your favor, because he's like, the fact of the matter is, I've overseen cases like this kind of play out a certain way. More cases than you've kind of experienced in your lifetime, because obviously Jerry's older and everything. So he's like, so he kind of knows how this whole Johnson situation is going to play out. But obviously Carol had her mind of like where things were going to ultimately end up going. And we see that lady, because they ended up meeting with that lady at the pawn shop. It was like, oh, I was like, yeah, she's defending herself because she got off a shot, but it's like, she had to reload, and I was like, damn, that sucks. Because it was like Charlie and Joseph literally met with her, like, it wasn't last episode, was it? Or was it like the episode, like, it was super recent, and more recent episode, I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer that things kind of played out like that. So, and obviously the whole situation is about, well, we got to find out where this leak is coming from. And then Carol came and visited Bill, and I thought I was like, oh, and she's like kind of gloating and stuff. I'm like, you're really picking the wrong time. And then she's like, yeah, I've been talking to Johnson. He's been giving me a whole bunch of names. And then it's like, wait, it's like, it's you. And he got pissed. And he went to Jerry, and it's like, she's the lead. Wait, what? She's been getting names from Johnson. She's like, there's no one in my department doing that. But it's like, that's how the names were getting out, because it was somewhere. And Bill was like, he was getting all pissed. He was like, blah, 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 called her stupid. And then Jerry had to be like, stop, because I guess it's like, you don't want to cross that line and say something you can't take back. But for him, it's like, now so many people, for one, 4 of the 5 people that names you got are dead. And now like this, now that someone that he knows personally and cares about is in this situation because of her. He's like, I'd arrest you right now if I wasn't so pissed. I was like, Jesus. And poor Carol, like, she's like, later on trying to appease everything by being like, no, whoever this person is, I'm gonna, make sure they're buried beneath the prison. Like, they get buried under the prison and stuff like that. Like, by taking them down and stuff like that. So she's trying to mitigate this issue, but it didn't change anything because Bill was still super pissed. He actually had to sit down with Johnson, and because even Johnson was like, wait, what? Because he was giving the names out to kind of, it was his middle finger to Bill, because he's like, oh, this is going to attack Bill and take down the department that took me down. All right, fine. But then it's a situation of like, wait, informants are being like, he was like, I was giving those names just so to give Carol ammunition to kind of take them down, kind of like them skirting the lines and that gray area of like, oh, like with the people you're kind of working with type of situation. But then it's like, Bill brings up the fact is you might have crossed that line, but the fact of the matter is that badge meant something once upon a time. And the fact is, once you have that badge, there's always going to be a little there. It's always going to be there in the sense that like you kind of feel sick about what you're doing. So it's like you've kind of crossed over, but the fact of the matter is this is at least a step forward to making that. And part of me was wondering what Johnson was going to do. I was like, are you going to be a dick about this and not giving the information? But it turns out he did. It is someone in Carol's department, like her campaign manager. He gotten to. So that's how all of this ended up happening. So working together, like the whole squad ends up going to rescue Curtis, and obviously leads into a big shootout. And of the guys are getting away, and obviously like Bill, I was wondering about that horse situation. I was like, Bill sees all those horses. I was like, are you going to hop on it? But I just see the horse running by itself. I was like, oh, is it going to just act as a distraction? I was like, then where's the rest of the horse? Because I thought maybe he set them all free and kind of lead them that way. But it's like, oh, Bill's leaning on the side. I was like, that's pretty cowboyish, pretty badass. And the fact of the matter is, he kind of leans to the side. I was like, he's lining up the gun. I was like, yo, one shot took out the driver. I was like, that's a pretty damn impressive shot. You gotta admit. And like, once again, also leaning on a horse to kind of dodge some bullets, and then kind of just like, you're literally bouncing up and down. Like, the fact that you can hit a target like that, accounting for that, makes that shot a pretty badass shot and everything. So luckily, when everything was said and done, they were able to, rescue Curtis. But that was kind of an incredible aspect to that, was that. But obviously, like, even that in itself is just one of many storylines set up in this, because obviously there's a confrontation between Carter and Joseph, which was so good. And it's like, for Joseph, it's like, you beating that dude up. It's like, for him, it's like, I don't get why you lied, because it's like, yeah, you might have got slapped with like maybe a week or something of suspension, but you wouldn't have lost your job. But for Carter, he points out like, yeah, but it's because I have, stuff you do piles up. And that kind of speaks to volumes of like, oh, obviously Joseph doesn't know everything about Carter, to the point not knowing like he's been reprimanded before. And this just would have been another thing on top of that. It just would have been a mess. But, it's for Joe, because he was like, I only did it because obviously you would have done it for me. And Joseph's like, I wouldn't need to do that for you. I wouldn't, because I was like, why would I need to put myself in that position to have your back like that? I would never cross that line, because it's, for Joseph, he's upset because it's like, I had to lie to Bill for you. And for him, it's like, Bill's his godfather, especially because it's like, Bill's the one that basically put you in a position where you can get this job. It's like, Bill believes in me. He got me this job. He gave me this opportunity. And like, what do I do to pay him back? I lied to him, and I got mixed up in all of this. And also because he knows how Charlie's going to be upset with him about the whole situation. But Charlie's like, come on, but we got to go, our CIs and everything. And she's like, Carter, stay away from him. He's not like you. He's better than you. And I'm like, woo. And Carter looked like he didn't appreciate that one damn bit. But in the car, it's that situation of like, Joseph is like, go ahead and give it to me. She's like, what? I'm not going to give it. Because he wanted to be yelled at. It's like, tell me you're disappointed. I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say it. But she's like, no. Like, at the end of the day, what you got to realize is what, the fact of the matter is, it's your relationship with Bill isn't the only thing you can lose. Because that's the thing for Joseph. That was, he was saying to Carter, like, I could lose everything because of getting mixed up in your BS. But then later on, Carter came to him and was like, yeah, I appreciate you having my back. Like, finishing the conversation. Like, the fact is, you could be one of us. I was like, okay. So we're finally circling back to that tattoo thing. Like, because like I said, when he went off a couple episodes about like basically like, oh, we put people in the system and just kind of get out. It's like, almost like I said, he has a very Punisher approach. It seems like, of like, we take these scumbags down. He kind of had that perspective, almost like we put him down and they stay down type of thing. It didn't seem like Joseph was necessarily reading between the lines. He's probably thinking like, oh no, the fact of the matter is, Carter just got a little heated. He probably wasn't thinking too much of it. I immediately was like, he's sounding a lot like one Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, So that's why I was kind of immediately like, so that's what your whole squad's about, kind of like, it's like kind of going a little vigilante, not a little vigilante. It sounds like full blown vigilante, but it's like he's like, yeah, I'll even pay for the tattoo, and Joseph's like, yeah, let me think about it. So, but later on, I love that situation of like, he's about to leave, and then basically Carter's like, it's you're either them or you're with us. Time to make a choice. And Joseph's like, I've already made mine. And I love Carter being like, it's not over. And Joseph, this isn't over. And then Joseph is like, yeah, it is. You just don't know it. Yeah, I was like, ooh, that was kind of a sweet line. I was like, yeah. But I was like, oh, but that's... And then literally in the back of my mind, he's like, see you in 6 weeks, because he's got suspended for 6 weeks. But I'm like, yeah, that's going to turn sour, because that means there's going to be certain cops in the department that's not going to have his back when like shit hits the fan. They're going to be oh, sorry, we didn't know you were in trouble, Joseph. Like, they're going to start playing that game of like, oh, if you're not with us. And we saw there was at least a handful of cops there that's kind of a part of this squad and everything. Because earlier, like, Joseph had visited Bill and tells Bill the truth. And Bill was like, I knew from the beginning that you were lying to me. But the fact of the matter is, he's like, I appreciate you telling me the truth. The fact of the matter is, you don't get mixed up with like, because like Carter and his group, they're on the lower tier. Like, do not get caught up and mixed up, and kind of basically reiterating what Charlie said, of like, you're good and you're special. Like, you don't need to you're kind of above them. So don't kind of stoop down to their level, get mixed up in all their stuff. And it's like, your arm hurt? He's like, nah. And I was like, did he get the tattoo or something? And I like that sweet reveal. Well, I'll get to it. I'll go ahead and talk about it. I do like that sweet reveal, because obviously, like, Charlie's like, oh yeah, like you calling him Joseph, no longer calling him Boot, and he's like, whoa, Joseph now? She's like, yeah, you deserve having your name and everything. And it's like, oh, he got the tattoo and everything. And she's like, oh, do you think that's going to protect you? Because for him, it's supposed to be like a sign of good luck. Because for him, it's like, I know who has my back, Bill and you. And he pulls out the tattoo, his sleeve, and shows the tattoo. It's of that, saint that Charlie has, the one she got from Luna. He was like, this is a reminder so I never forget kind of who has his back. I was like, oh, and it was super sweet. She kind of kisses him on the face for it. And I'm like, oh, so that's the big question, like, where they're going to go. Like, I mean, obviously it's going to be a complicated thing because that was your TO and everything, but it's also like I said, I'm getting a feeling like she's probably not willing to kind of go there yet. I kind of always felt like that just because of the whole situation with Luna. So there's other stuff to kind of break down. There's a whole situation because obviously Teresa's kind of like her appeals and stuff like that aren't necessarily working. So it's like they're in a situation where, because sadly it's like, because she's like, we're literally pouring our savings into this. Like, give us like trying to, I guess, whatever lawyer they have representing them, it didn't kind of go the way she wanted it to. So now they're going to try and appeal. But I think at this point, there is no more appealing this. Like, it's just a situation of like, because sadly the grandmother has more of a right to this situation, even though it's like, she wasn't there after everything went down, but I'm sure she's probably going to use everything that Cade said and did last episode against him. Because even that's why he was pissed at the end, because it's like, shit, I might have screwed this up for us. And so Cade was so upset about it, he kind of walks away. Luckily, Bishop and Teresa contacted Bill to let him know. And he ends up finding Cade. And it's like, there are things in this world you can't control. The situation with Roberto and Camilla, you can't control that. What a judge is thinking and doing, you can't control that. But this right here, there's drinking. It's not going to help anyone. You've got what you wanted. You got your wife. You got a baby on the way. That is what you control. So come to my daughter's quinceañera and be there with your family. That's what you can do, and that's what you control. So it's kind of nice, because I did like that, because obviously we've gotten introduced a couple episodes back to the fact that Cade had his, he's had his addictions, his struggles. So, Bill kind of walking him back off that ledge, because he's like, I haven't even had a sip yet. He's like, but the fact is, you came down to here, you sat down, you ordered, already shows that you're half in the bag. So it's kind of like, you might have not taken a sip, but you've already kind of stepped towards putting yourself in a position to drink. And so it's a situation of, you have to make that choice for yourself. It's like, it's not that simply. It's like, yes, it is. Like, what fighting, because that drink isn't going to help you, but you have so much waiting at home for you, or you're just going to kind of let that go. So luckily, Bill was able to kind of pull, Cade back from that situation. So another aspect of this episode I didn't see coming was like, okay, Jerry and Carol, because at first I was like, all right, so I was like, so is, because Carol comes, she's like, we actually make a good team and everything, so we should kind of work together and everything with this whole thing. I was like, oh, that's interesting, because at first I was like, I thought like, my thought immediately was like, oh, so is Jerry going to kind of like renege this whole situation? Like, nah, I don't need you, bam, I'm gonna handle this on my own. To a certain extent he does, but he tears into Carol, which I feel so bad, because the entire time I was like, oh, because it's like, I adore Jamie Ray Newman, just because I just adore her. So when I see her, I'm like, but also it's just because, which is kind of complicated, because I brought it up before. Once again, I'm thinking of her from like obviously from The Punisher and Eureka. Like, those are the things that kind of pop in my mind the most. But obviously I also can't forget, like, oh, she was at least who her character kind of appeared to be in Midnight Texas before the reveal and everything, that, like, so it just kind of, but I just kind of feel bad for her, because I think at the end of the day, she had the best of intentions. She just went about it the wrong way. But like, he started chewing into her because it's like, literally, you are responsible for what happened. Yeah, that guy, because she's like, the fact is, yeah, they had something over the dude that leaked the information, but he's gotten arrested. There were plants before. There's going to be plants after. You know, people that get planted. But it's like, no, it's directly your fault because you went at this from political angle, and this whole Johnson thing happened because of you, because trying to get at Bill, trying to get at the department. So what I need you to do, and I love that he made this because he was like, I need you to drop out of this race for sheriff. I need you to close the investigation into the department. And on top of that, I need you to what was the back away from being DA now, like step away from your job. And she's like, and he was like, or I will arrest you. I was like, dude, and he just kind of left her sitting. But like I said, I adore Jamie Ray Newman, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm a little heartbroken, but there's also part of me just within the confines of the show, like, yeah. But also at the same time, like I said, it's like she went about it the wrong way, kind of like Jerry to a certain extent, but we'll get to that in a second. But it's like, you kind of feel bad because it's like, you had the best of intention, you wanted something to do, but at the same time, it's like, your reasoning for like why you got into this in the first place, you started off coming at it from the wrong position. I think she did have the best of intentions because even Bishop was like, I think you do legitimately want to help and everything. She just went about it the wrong way because she started us off with the intention of, oh, I want to put Bill in his place because he questioned the way I'm handling things. It's like she kind of came at it from a prideful stance rather than coming from it like, if she had started off like, I'm actually, like kept it purely for the sake of like, I'm going to bring change to the department, to Los Angeles, like I think the county and everything, I think it would have been a better sell, but it's just she kind of came at this from her perspective of kind of wanting to put Bill in his place, and it seems like that's always kind of been her main thing. It seemed like that took precedence over doing all the good she wanted to do. So that's why I kind of still feel bad for her. But the reason why I'm saying like, well, let's not forget Jerry got dirt dug up on Bill, and the episode went, because I brought it up last episode, like I thought like, oh, Jerry at the end of the day would decide not to use the dirt, but I thought Carol would find it anyway. Nah, your boy Jerry shredded. I was like, oh, so it kind of went the way I thought, just not exactly, but I was like, that's really good. I was like, he's trying to be honorable, like, oh, when it comes down to it, it's going to be fair and square. And even at the end of the day, he showed up at the quinceañera being like, yeah, Carol, she's no longer going to be an issue. The fact of the matter is, it's just you and me, may the best man win. And I'm like, he's coming at this very honorably. So I was like, that's Jerry. Because I'd call Jerry out for his shit too. Because Jerry's been a dick the entire season. I'm like, you've been kind of a dick. You've been super shady, manipulative, kind of getting Charlie to do your dirty work, getting pissed at Charlie the moment she kind of turned her back on you. But the fact is you did that, I'm like, all right, Jerry, you're good in my book again. All right, you're all right. You're all right, Jerry. You're all right. So it kind of gets into that mentality. But speaking of that whole quinceañera thing, I know I'm butchering it every fucking time I say it. I'm sorry. But it was actually for one, it's just like, I mean, I was never, that's not part of my culture. So I've only ever experienced that through TV shows. I've never known like, oh, what that's really like and because obviously I know what it represents. I think the most recent one I'd ever seen TV show wise was Runaways. Molly had hers, the Runaways had put together one for her, which was super adorable. It's super sweet. And just to see, because obviously like the entire day Bill wants to be there, but he's doing this. And it's like, I love her mom telling him, it's like, okay, your face, your chin, yeah. And just like, oh, more pictures. And it's like, especially that picture of her, Paula, her mom. And I thought that was kind of a sweet picture. But obviously it's just kind of like this celebration. It was just a beautiful party and ceremony and everything. There's like beautiful, many, like, once again, like what it represents of like a girl going from being a girl to being a woman, so like the sentiment behind it is because obviously, like I said, I'm not well versed in it. I'm not sure like where that started and why that became the tradition that it did. It doesn't matter, I'm not like trying to judge or anything. It's just like I said, it's not part of my culture, so I don't really know the ins and outs. But I am curious to kind of look into like why that became a thing, why it represents what it represents. But nevertheless, I just thought it was kind of a beautiful thing, especially like, Bill showing up just in time and putting his shoes on Maggie and them dancing and, and him telling her like, I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world and how much, he loves her and everything. I was like, that entire ending was so beautiful and to me so heartwarming and the best way to kind of end off the season. Like you literally see that this entire group that we followed, this family kind of together, kind of celebrating. Because you have Bill talking to his dad, being like, he never thought he can't believe where his son is right now because it's like basically like the mischief maker that he was. And he's like, really? And it's like, yeah. But he's like, why are you spending time with me? Go with your family because you think moments like these will last forever, but they don't. And I think that's his dad coming from the perspective of whatever his situation is, whether it's like an Alzheimer's or dementia situation of like those moments can slip away like that. So you live in them and you cherish them while you have the moment, because the thing is, even your memory can't be 100% trusted. So, enjoy living those moments while you have the chance, and it was just beautiful to see, like, obviously, like, this entire family, that being his dad, Paula's parents being there, just all of them together, Teresa and Cade, and got Roberto and Camilla there, so their family there, Bishop there with the lady that's helping her find a place, and it's like, oh, sparks are kind of flying there. And I think it is that situation of like, sadly, things never worked out with Genevieve. I was wondering if Genevieve would change her mind, but I think doesn't matter because Bishop found someone that accepts them for who they are, so and even at the end, I thought was kind of neat where we had Joseph, Charlie, and Jerry all kind of drinking together, and I'm like, this beautiful sentiment. And I love, like, because I love Bill's like perspective on the situation, like with the voiceover at the end saying the fact of the matter is, kind of he treats like being sheriff kind of like he compares it to being like a father, that he would do anything for his daughter because he loves her so much, and he's like, I love this county and I will do anything for her. I will fight tooth and nail to basically keep it safe. So I think that's kind of a nice sentiment. Obviously, like, the race, for sheriffs, kind of see where that all kind of ends up taking him, especially with what that, I mean, will there be anyone taking Carol's place? Or would Carol do anything going forward to kind of shift the narrative? Like, would she kind of do, like, I'm curious, would they do anything with that? I mean, because obviously she'd be stepping down as DA. That means some other new DA would have to step into play and, like, what that would mean. There's also the whole situation of, the thing is, like, Jerry found that dirt, Charlie did, but who's to say someone else doesn't find that dirt? Because once again, we never actually got to find out what was it on that Jerry had. That could be a thing of, like, that could be something we see going forward. Could be like, oh, like that dirt on Bill could be something that could be a storyline in itself of like whatever that past is coming back to bite him in the ass, especially with this whole situation. Because there was that dude he confronted, the guy that was like, oh, like you kind of failed. So basically like people overseeing the oversight of like looking at everything of like bringing in an FBI because like, oh, you're basically incompetent. But Bill was like, oh, the moment I'm kind of like, when I get the opportunity, I'm cutting the funding to your whole oversight thing because you just, that whole situation. Because wasn't that the guy that Bill had come to before, where he was like, oh yeah, that guy who had killed, like that episode heavily about Cade, about that veteran who was murdered, and it was like, oh, because you're trying to get these people to move out of this area so that you could build up whatever it was, like that the guy that was on part of that board, the dude that he was talking to in this episode, is like, that dude was connected, if I remember correctly. Isn't that the same dude, or was it a different dude that Bill had kind of accused of it? He was basically like, watch it. So a lot of those people on that committee, or that group, that oversight group or whatever, who kind of oversee like a lot of stuff related to the department, you can tell they're already gunning for Bill. I'm curious because especially where things stand with Jerry. Jerry probably has a better relationship with him, but I think even he can call a spade in this type of situation. I think even he wouldn't be too keen on it. But obviously, that's the difference. Bill is not all about the old rules, the foundations of all of this, whereas Jerry is. At the time of me recording this, it hasn't been announced whether or not Fox has canceled or renewed Deputy. Obviously, I'm pushing and hoping for a second season. I'd love to kind of see what direction all this would end up taking us. So, like I said, fingers crossed, hoping for a second season. We'll ultimately have to wait and see where everything ends up. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.